What's up, man?
Justin,
I'm so
brother. Oh man,
So it's not normal that we do the podcast like this, but I'm stoked. So now
That's
today
right.
we're up here at the University Club,
That's right.
kind of your home space where you do a lot of your events and stuff that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get an amazing backdrop today of San Diego and being up here at the U Club. So
I mean, look at this view. Like, how can you not be grateful?
I'll take it.
When you're in a space like this. So this is a great way to start off the year by coming up here and just overlooking our kingdom and just like mapping out how we're going to dominate.
That's right.
Let's do it.
2024. Yeah. So thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
This is good, man. I love to give it. This is kind of like rooted in what I believe in and what I do. A lot of what I do is like, how do I wake up every day and I set an intention of, how can I put a smile on someone's face today? In fact, you just put a smile on my face. But how do I give? How do I have an impact? And so this is right in line with what I stand for and believe in.
So kind of, and we talked about, what the podcast is about, abundance to give. And it's not just about interviewing super successful entrepreneurs about, hey, give me the tactics and strategies as to how you became successful. It's more about, hey, how has giving and helping others created abundance in your life, right? It's the whole abundance to give mentality, because if you talk to any super successful entrepreneur, the one thing in common amongst all of them is, hey, giving and helping others has created this abundance for me.
Right.
This is what has really made me successful. It's not going out there and like doing all the strategies and stuff. It's more about, hey, by helping others and giving back and leaving a legacy, it's amazing what happens. Right? The law of reciprocity, right? The universe, as they call it, will pay itself forward.
Right.
And that's kind of what I wanted to lead into, because you originally from Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
Born and raised. So, born and raised on the west side of Chicago. Thankfully, my mom moved us out to the suburbs, and otherwise I would have been caught in the
Chicago,
the vortex that is Chicago. It's like a bottomless pit. You never leave.
Mm.
So, but I went into I had a strong parent. My mom she's a beast.
Raised by a single parent?
Single parent, yeah. And so she early on kind of instilled this work ethic and kind of pushed me into my greatness. And so I went to school for computer engineering, graduated, had a bunch of job offers lined up. And then the first thing I did was think, how can I avoid snow for the rest of my life? I never wanted to see another snowflake ever again.
I
moved to Dallas, Texas. I worked and I did software sales for 15 years.
Wow.
And that was amazing. Texas was good to me, President's Club. But right around the 15-year mark, I started to kind of feel like something else was calling me.
So you didn't feel fulfilled?
Yeah, I started to feel, I was just complacent. I was just kind of going through the motions. Just every day was just, was just the same. I kind of lost my fire. And so I was looking for something else to reignite me again. And at that time, I was on the company I worked for, had a track team, and we would actually fly around and compete against other companies in track. It's like this underground, like corporate intramural leagues. And so I would come to San Diego every year to compete in track.
That's how the lure started.
Yeah. So I would come every year, and then it was like, come on. I mean, sandy beaches, beautiful skies, beautiful women everywhere. And every time I would come out here, I was thinking, gosh, how beautiful would it be to live here? And, it's just a power of manifestation. One year I was just like, you know what? I'm going to live in San Diego. Like, we came here 4 years in a row. You set
the intention. Frequency went out.
Frequency went out. I said, we came here 4 years in a row. After the fourth time we came to San Diego. And I was like, that's it. I mean, this is.
Are you married at this point?
Year. No. I'm
Okay.
still single.
Okay.
I'm about 30 years old at the time. And I said, you know what? I'm moving to San Diego. 3 months later, after me saying that, after making that declaration, I was living in San Diego.
Interesting.
And so it's just how the universe works. And so that's how I ended up out here. But moving out here, that I moved out here at 30, single. I managed the Southwest Territory for a software firm, making a lot of money. Yeah. I'm a very personable person. I like to get down and have a good time. When you combine all that together, yep. A lot of money, single, no boundaries,
Downtown.
living downtown, like to have a good time. I got caught up.
Yeah.
I got caught up in a lifestyle, and over the course of a couple of years, I went from being a top high performer in life down to I was last place on my sales team. I had gained 40 pounds from eating like crap and drinking like crap, and I just I had lost my way. I had lost my priorities until the point where I actually got fired from my job.
Gotcha.
And so I got fired from my job. At the time, I did have a girlfriend at the time. She broke up with me, and within a 1 week period of time, I went from
hero to zero.
Everything was good in my life, making a lot of money, to out on the streets. Literally.
So they always say that moments of suffering, greatness is born.
Yeah.
Right. We always learn more from our failures than we do our successes. Successes will make you complacent. Yeah. Failure will make you go, like you're either going one way or the other when you hit the bottom.
Yeah.
You're either going like, oh, I'm going to stay here and maybe we're done, or I'm going to pick myself up,
right,
dust myself off,
yeah,
and go make stuff happen.
Absolutely.
And that's clearly happened. So what was that turning point for you, and what maybe one or two lessons did you learn from that experience?
Yeah. So the turning point was I was out on the street, literally walking the streets with a roller bag, like a carry-on suitcase with all my stuff in it.
No shit.
Going to friends' house, sleeping on their floors, trying to figure out what I was going to do next.
So was it, and you don't mind me getting too personal, but was it drugs? Was it alcohol? Was it all the above? Was it?
Yeah, all of the above.
Okay.
So the lifestyle. So going out, it started off just going out every, on the weekends.
Yeah.
Living the weekend, drinking, partying. Then that turned into 3 nights a week. Then that turned into 4 nights a week. And next thing you know, it's almost every night of the week, not going into work, staying up all night, hanging out with people I shouldn't have been hanging out with. And so it's kind of like a culmination of everything. And, the universe kind of like it smacked me in the face, right? Life will smack you around. And so it smacked me around. So I ended up back in Chicago with my mom. So there I was, 35 years old, living on my mom's couch. And talk about a hit to your pride, right?
Yeah,
as a man,
that's a kick in the gut.
Having to move back in with your mother and let her take care of you. Yeah. And so that was my turning point. Where it was like, I'm better than this. With my talents, my skills, my abilities,
education,
my gifts, like there's no reason I was destined to just be a bum on my mom's couch. And so it was, the universe kind of works in perfect harmony. That very next day, a book arrived in the mail. A friend of mine, they had a book that they didn't need, and they sent it to me. And I opened this package, and the book was The Miracle Morning. And so The Miracle Morning, if you're familiar with this, a book.
I am. I've not read it, but I know all about it.
So it was written by Hal Elrod, and the book talks about morning routines. How waking up early and having a structured way to start your day will determine all your results in life. And so the tagline is transform your life before 8 a.m. The secret, the not so obvious secret to transforming your life before 8 a.m. And so I'm looking at this book, and it's talking about transforming your life. And I've never read a book in my life at that point.
Really?
I had just skimmed books. I can read chapters. I had never read a full book cover to cover. And so here I am looking at the cover of this book saying, completely transform your life before 8 a.m. And I'm thinking, what the hell can this book do for me? But I do need to transform my life. So it caught me at the right place at the right time because I was open. I was vulnerable and I was open for change. And I was like, you know what, let me read this thing. I opened it up, and from the very first page, I didn't stop until I got to the very last page.
Wow.
I read it cover to cover nonstop. And that was the first time I had got introduced to the concept of how powerful your mornings can be, and how starting the day with intention and purpose will determine all of your results in life. Yeah. And that set me on my path of becoming a morning hero.
Oh, and that's where I was going to kind of lead to, because that makes sense. So in Chicago, read the book, inspires you, morning hero, morning routines, back to San Diego.
Right.
So talk about that real quick, and then really what we'll get into kind of the stuff you're doing now with the book, the morning hero, the other stuff that you have set up here in San Diego and around the areas.
Yeah.
And what that inspired, why is that so inspirational for you? So
yeah, so there I was on my mom's couch, and the book introduced me to a lot of different concepts that up until that point in my life I would never consider. Things like meditation, journaling. Here I am, a grown man. What do I look like carrying a diary around? I'm not going to journal. Meditation, that's for hippies, right?
Right.
Running around with chakra beads, like barefoot with dreadlocks. So I had these misconceived notions of all these practices. And so
they were considered maybe taboo by some, right?
Yeah, or just like very woo-woo.
Yeah.
And that's like those other people do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, so I start doing these things in the morning. So I'd get up, early every day.
What time do you wake up?
So at that point, my goal was to wake up at 5 a.m.
Okay.
So I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything going for myself. So I'm normally waking up at 8, 9, 10 o'clock sometimes. I really had nothing.
Half the day's gone, man.
I had nothing to wake up for. And so that first day after I read that book, I said, you know what? I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. That day, I woke up at 4:57 a.m., 3 minutes before my
automatically?
Alarm clock.
No clock?
Jumped out of bed. I've never used an alarm clock since. This was 7 years ago. I've never used an alarm clock in the last 7 years. I got up hungry and excited, and I started doing these things. I started meditating. And, I would get these visions of what my life could be like. And then I would start journaling, and I would write out my goals and start coming up with and start brainstorming business plans and ideas. And, then I would visualize them, and then I would go do some exercise, and then I would plan my day, and then I would start executing all the things that I said I was going to do. Yeah. And like literally by 9 a.m., I had accomplished more than
probably doing like 9 hours.
Most people will do all day long. And
it's amazing how that works, and there's no accidents with it.
Yeah, it's just getting up with more intention, and so that then from that morning practice. So from the day I started doing it, I started putting together business plans. I'm still homeless on my mom's couch at this point, but some visions start showing up in my meditations. One of them was real estate, that I was destined to have my name on buildings. So I was like, okay, so maybe I should get my real estate license. So I started getting my real estate license. And then that's how I ended up back in San Diego. 30 days or after I got my license, I moved back to San Diego and signed up with a brokerage. During that same...
Residential or commercial at that point?
Commercial.
Okay.
And during that same window of time, I was getting up and I was working out every day. I lost 30 pounds in 3 months. In that same window of time, I reconnected with the girl that during my lost years, we broke up.
How did that reconnection happen?
So
you reaching out to her accidentally?
So again, it's the universe always kind of works in perfect timing. So at that time I'm meditating and I'm seeing every time that I'm meditating, she's popping up in my visions, right? So it's like the Lord was telling me that she's going to be an instrumental part of my life. One day, so when we broke up, she still maintained friendships with our circle of friends. So she's
here locally,
here in San Diego. So I left and went back to Chicago. She kept hanging with all my friends. And so they would go out and they would go hang out at restaurants, go out to dinners. And one day she took a picture of all of them out at dinner and sent it to me, like out of spite, like just saying, I'm here, I am hanging out with all your friends and you're not here. It sucks to be you, right? So she was doing it as a joke. We hadn't talked in over 3 months at this point. And so so that kind of kicked us back off, talking back and forth. And then that was when I started to be back on my growth curve. And I'm working on myself. I'm waking up, I'm meditating, I'm exercising, and I grew as a person.
Is she seeing this?
Is
she seeing the growth?
Yes. Okay. So she's seeing the growth because now we're back talking regularly, and she's now a part of the growth journey. Yeah. And then so it just made sense that after I got my license, I signed up with a brokerage here in San Diego. I moved back, and then that also kind of rekindled us. And so within a short period of time, everything in my life started back flourishing again. So I started my commercial real estate business, and that started to flourish. I got down to my college weight and was looking the best I've ever looked. I was rekindled with her, and I for once was more present and attentive and serving and putting her on the pedestal that she deserved to be on all along, which I wasn't doing previously. And so everything was flourishing. My relationship was flourishing. My health and fitness was flourishing. My business was flourishing. All these things in my life started to flourish. And the only thing I could attribute it to was the fact that the biggest difference was the morning routine. The morning routine where I get up early and I'd set my intentions for what I want in my life and what I was going to do to get it. When I started doing that, I started getting all the things I wanted in life. It's funny how that works.
And so that started, so Jarvis has The Morning Hero and has a book that's coming out about that as well.
Yeah.
And another kind of mastermind mentorship thing, and does some events here locally in San Diego around that. So talk about the start of The Morning Hero, and is that what is going to be in the book? Okay.
Yeah, so the book is going to be like the Morning Hero Manifesto. And so the Morning Hero started simply because every morning when I would get up and I would do my routine, I would meditate, and then I would journal, and I would read, and I would kind of have a thought or a wisdom of the day. And then I started sharing it online. So I would pull my phone out and I would go to Instagram and I would just share a quick video or a quick wisdom.
Was that hard for you to be vulnerable?
It was, for sure. Absolutely.
And were you very vulnerable about it, or was it just
So I wasn't. So initially, I wasn't vulnerable about my story, because that part is, I carry some shame and some guilt with that. But for me, it was more about, I'm learning all these things. How can I help share this with other people? And so for that, that part came natural for me, because after I saw the result of something in my life, I immediately wanted other people to feel the same thing. Sometimes
people feel that once they're learning these things and starting to implement them in their lives, but if they are sharing them and maybe not there yet, that they feel like they're an imposter. Did you ever feel that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the books that I read is by Russell Brunson, is Expert Secrets. And that book is about, every one of us has a message. And the book is like, how do you build your movement around your message? And one of the things he talks about is this imposter syndrome, where most people feel like, I'm not there yet, so I'm not qualified enough. I'm not qualified to teach or to
talk,
lead, because I'm not quite where I want to be yet, or I'm not an expert yet, or I don't have the degree yet, or I haven't taken the class yet, or I don't have the certification.
It's almost like you're limiting yourself by
absolutely.
That. Yeah.
And he says that all you have to do is be one step ahead of the next person.
People you may be helping.
To be able to give them the value.
Yeah.
You don't have to be at point Z.
Sure.
But if you're at point C, and someone is at point A, you are qualified to get them to point
Interesting.
B.
That's a good way to look at it. And then maybe more relatable too.
Absolutely.
Because you're in the midst of the journey versus already there.
Exactly.
People can't connect, right? So now you're into the morning routine and you're sharing this stuff online with people and kind of growing a community. With the whole giving back thing and the abundance to give concept, right, that we were talking about.
Right.
Is that where you were kind of feeling like, listen, I can make an impact if I can give back and help others without any expectation of receipt?
Right.
The law of reciprocity finds itself, and all of a sudden good things happen.
Right. Yeah. And that wasn't even my intent. Like, I wasn't even thinking that far ahead. Like, if I give, then good things will start happening to me. It purely was, I was just excited to, like, I learned something and I saw the benefit and I was just excited to share it. Like, I wanted other people to experience what I was experiencing. And that's really where it came. It came from an authentic place that this has been working well for me. I don't know who else out there might have been suffering from the same thing I was suffering from, or struggling with the same thing that I was struggling with, but let me share this with you in case this will help you too. And it just so happens that, that's where I started to learn about the law of attraction, that the more I shared, the more impact or authentic impact I wanted to have, then the more opportunities started to open up.
So what do you say to folks that the whole law of attraction thing, send the frequencies out and it'll just manifest and happen, right? Because there's an error in that in a way.
Yeah.
Because people think, well, it's not happening to me. And I was chatting with someone the other day and I said, listen, well, it's because you're missing the key component. And that is, you'll send the frequencies out. You'll ask the universe for it. That's step one.
Right.
The universe will align its frequencies with you,
Right.
and it'll start teeing up opportunities. If you're not able and willing and open to accepting the opportunities and taking action on those opportunities, then you're going to walk right past opportunities that are staring at you, and you don't even recognize them, and you're not taking action. Because you can send the frequencies out all day long, you can manifest till you're black and blue.
Yeah.
But when the opportunities tee up and literally come your way,
Yeah.
recognizing and then action on them is everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. And that will move the needle.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, it is working.
Yeah.
Because you're actually recognizing these things in the universe coming your way now since you've sent them out.
Right.
And then taking action on them to make it happen.
Totally.
All right, so we figure we're just going to get totally impromptu. We have a guest. She wants to introduce herself.
Hi.
We're in the elevator now going down 37 floors.
What's the secret to success?
Smiling every day and being so grateful.
I love that.
It's so simple.
Smile,
It's so simple.
smile and be
It
grateful.
forces you to be happy.
I love it.
Bye,
You're
guys.
out.
That's
Bye,
it.
Travis.
Podcast over right there.
Drop the mic.
Good answer.
So now we're going to go down to the ground level, city level, and tour San Diego. So.
Yeah, back to your question about the law, how the law of attraction works in the universe, and I think a lot of people, when they think of the law of attraction, they think of just if I think about it enough, or if I wish for it hard enough, or if I really submit myself and feeling the result, feeling the thing I want, then it'll just magically show up in my life. Like if I think about a Ferrari enough, then the Ferrari will just pull up and someone will say, here's the key.
Well, no. But what will happen, okay, is you'll start to see a lot more Ferraris.
Yeah.
So this is where the air, I think, and it's just a glitch in people's process, is they will see more Ferraris.
Yeah.
But then when you get the chance to take action on it, because you don't just get to have a Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
You have to earn, right?
Yeah.
So now you need to go make the moolah, or maybe know somebody where you can acquire, whatever it is, but opportunities are going to start presenting.
Right.
And it's how you take action on those to get ultimately where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we're in downtown San Diego, walking the streets.
Yeah.
The crazy streets of San Diego.
This is the mean.
Is this like Chicago?
The mean streets of
Is
San Diego.
this like Chicago? I was kidding.
No, nothing at all like Chicago.
Let me ask you this. What was the worst thing you saw in Chicago?
The worst thing. So the worst thing I saw wasn't in Chicago.
Okay.
Earlier you asked what were some of the lessons I learned when I went through kind of my pitfall journey. The lesson that I learned was that you are a product of your environment. It was at that point in my life.
I was just reading the book Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
It has all about that in there, right? Because that's habit creation, right? It's part of the environment you're around.
Yeah. So. And the people is the biggest part of your environment. So I was with the people that I was with weren't people. They weren't goal oriented. They didn't have anything going for themselves, and they weren't really serving me. They weren't serving me and serving the betterment of me. In fact, they were doing the opposite. They were dragging me down. And I didn't even recognize it. And I would go out and I would be with these people and I would say, you know what, I'm college educated. I'm a business professional. I'm making a lot of money. Like, I'm not them. Like, I felt like I was kind of separated from them. Like, I can still go hang out with them and party and have fun, but I'm still elevated. Not realizing that every time I'm with them, I was slowly getting dragged down and becoming them. Right. Yeah. I didn't start off at that level.
That's a perfect example of the average of, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with most. And it's maybe not immediate, like you said, gradual.
Right.
But this is a great lesson for anybody watching that, look, everything is about the people you surround yourself with.
Yep.
And that way you can make moves. And usually if you can get around people that inspire you to be better. I mean, you've met Jeff Fenster,
right?
A mutual friend of ours, and he has mastered the art of relationships.
Absolutely.
Hence the book he wrote, Relationship Capital. And I've learned so much from him over the past year on how you utilize relationship capital, which is I never even thought about relationships the way he describes them, because it felt very transactional, but it's not.
Right.
Because all he's saying is, listen, relationships are bank accounts. You are either depositing or you are withdrawing from that relationship.
Yep.
And if you want that relationship to flourish and grow, you need to be depositing more than you withdraw.
Right.
And I don't care if that's a romantic relationship or a platonic friendship or a business relationship, you need to be depositing more than you withdraw.
Yep.
And then people, if they have the same mentality, meaning you circle your friends with people like that, they're going to be depositing into you.
Yep.
You're depositing into them. Both people feel fulfilled.
Totally.
And then that relationship grows.
And I'll take that one step further. The universe works the same way, just like the bank account analogy that Jeff uses in his book. The more you deposit from an authentic, organic place of how can I give first, how can I serve first, with no expectation of anything in return.
Yeah.
But the more deposits you of goodwill and favor you give into the universe, into other people, how you can have an impact, how you can contribute more, how you can serve higher. The more you do that, you build up this balance.
Yeah.
That over time, the universe will start to, will not only will it return the balance back to you, it multiplies it before it gives it back to you.
So I went to undergraduate, I went to Pepperdine University. And literally the tagline under the main sign up at the school is freely you give, freely you receive.
Yeah,
right?
That's pretty cool.
Same concept. And it's still inbred in my mind because I carry that forward at middle of life, saying, yeah, like freely you give, freely you receive. Like you give freely without any anticipation of receipt.
Yeah.
And the law of reciprocity will pay itself forward.
Yeah. So that's actually how the events started out that I host now, the Accelerated Growth.
Yeah, so talk about that, because that's where I met you.
Yeah.
It was funny. I had a friend say, hey, come to this event. She shared it with me. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then Jeff Fencer's going to be there, who I'd been meeting throughout the year. I was like, this is going to be great. And then and she's like, you need to connect with Jarvis. And I was like, awesome. So that, I mean, it's weird how things happen. And there are no real accidents.
That's right.
Like people, and this is hard for tragedy, right? Because there's tragedy in the world, there's tragedy in life. And so, but there's really no accidents in life.
No.
There really aren't.
Everything is a part of a
Everything
plan.
has its place in it. When you think back as to how that happened, you're like, oh, that really wasn't an accident.
No.
There were motions and things that happened that led you to that moment.
Yeah.
But it's hard because then you say, oh, there's tragedy. Well, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. It's tough to understand that. That's a deeper question, is why do bad things happen?
The good people.
Yeah, that's a much deeper question that I can't answer. But what I can answer is those of that event that you came to. So I started off doing those events purely as a way of how do I surround myself with better people, growth-minded people that were on the same path and same trajectory as myself, because I recognize that you are the average of the people you spend the most time with. Jim Rohn, one of the greatest, life
100%.
philosophers of all time, says you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So how do I leverage that? Because I did see the impact of that. That law does hold true, because it dragged me down. I became the average of the people I surrounded myself with, and in turn, it dragged me down to their level. Now, how can I flip that on its side and use it for good? How can I use that same principle to be pulled up?
Yeah.
And so how can I surround myself with higher quality, higher grade people that were on the same trajectory, if not higher trajectory in life? And I created
Hence the events.
That's why I created a meetup.
Okay.
And the meetup was just to create a space to attract the right people so that we can all accelerate our growth. And so it's called the Accelerated Growth Club. And then those meetups over time went from, first time I hosted a meetup with 6 people came to it.
So helping others became helping yourself.
And not that was the intention,
Right.
but absolutely.
But by doing that, by giving and helping others, basically you're depositing.
Correct.
Right? Because whether it's an individual or a group, you're depositing.
Correct.
And then naturally withdrawals happen without any expectation.
And then from there, opportunities present themselves.
So if this is a lesson, you understand the importance of relationships, but you have to deposit into those relationships. They don't just flourish. You can't just withdraw, because at some point people are going to be like, hey, look, like you're a taker.
Yeah.
Right? You're not a giver. You're a taker.
Yeah.
And at some point, people are going to be like, they're not going to want to be around you as much.
Yeah. I mean, a general rule of thumb.
And we all know takers. You know one. We all know takers. And maybe they're not even self-aware that that's the case.
Yeah.
But they need to realize that, listen, like, you've got to give more than you got.
Yeah. Give more than you receive, and good things will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Talk about your book.
So the book is really just kind of a culmination of all the things that I've learned on my journey, right? So it all starts with the morning hero, with that getting up early and that process that I did every morning that really set me kind of back on my path in life. And so that's where people started calling me the morning hero. And so I'm just going to be, the book is going to be...
That's your brand now, man.
Documenting. It's going to be and so the premise is simple. If you win the morning, you win the day. And not only
they say, what, master the morning, master the day? Same concept.
Same thing, right? Not only do you win the day, you start to build a winning life, right? One morning at a time. So the concept of the book is, how do you win? Yeah. And so I really, really break down this system that I designed on how do you win every day. And so the book is going to be called The Winning Formula. And it's going to be all centered around how do you win.
When is it coming out? When do I get to read it?
Yeah, so the manuscript is just about done. Then we go into editing.
Actually, what is the process of writing a book?
It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah, it's not easy.
That's probably why I haven't done it.
Well, it's because I have so much. I mean, if I was just going to write just a bullshit book, I could, right?
Sure.
But this book, like, there's so much that I've learned. There's so much that I value that I want to give. There's so much impact that I want to have that I'm being very careful and methodic and intentional about everything that's in the book. So with that being the case, it takes a while to get it all out. Like, the writing process,
and you probably write it and then you backtrack and write again, redraft, write again, right?
And that's what they say you shouldn't do, which is how I write.
They say what, just throw up on paper
and they edit later.
Gotcha.
So I edit while I write, which is the worst thing, so which is why it's taking so long. But
14 years later, Jarvis is 93, right?
The perfect gold-plated book. No, but it's been a long process, but it's been great because it's really forced me to really think through and articulate all of the different things in my life that have attributed to getting where I am, and then be able to put it in a way where it can have an impact on someone else. They can read it, digest it, and implement it. And that's the intention of this book. It's not really just an entertainment book. It's something that you're going to read and you can immediately apply the principles that's in it.
Right. Everybody has different starting points in life. And I say it's not about your starting point, right? Everybody has different ones. It's about where you can end up.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between someone who maybe goes zero to hero and someone that doesn't is having at some point in their life, and we can talk about yours, a role model or a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, education or knowledge that there's something better for yourself.
Totally.
Because there's, you watch what's happening with either inner cities or disadvantaged kids and people in society, and why people make it, some people don't. And you kind of watch, you say, okay, well, who made it out of a tough environment and who didn't?
Right. So
you isolate those. And then the people that did make it, who were in the exact same environment that the people that didn't, what was that differentiator?
Difference, yeah.
And usually, at least from what I've seen, and maybe educate me for a minute, they had some form of role model in their life at some point that said, hey, stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Here's what you should be doing. Here's the pathway.
Yeah.
And then number two, educating, like, there is more for you. Yeah. You don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be doing that. Like, stop, So the education and the role model mentorship is usually, you take someone like LeBron James or whoever it is, pull them out of whoever, and you'll notice the folks that make it and don't, at some point in their life, through that journey of tough environments or bad upbringing, they had some form of a role model and some form of proper education that would give them the belief that there's more.
Totally. And so for
me,
I would use, instead of education, I would use the word exposure. Exposure to a life worth living, a life better than their current reality. And for me, that exposure came when I was on my mom's couch. And so just to kind of take you back, I went to school for computer engineering.
Right.
And I went out and went into
But
the
how did
business world.
how did you, coming from Chicago, raised by a single parent, so she was the role model? Is that what I'm gathering?
Yeah.
Okay. So she was that influence.
Yeah.
Just for you to go from that to computer engineering, I mean, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Did she help guide that?
My stepdad
Okay.
guided that decision. So my stepdad was
Was he another piece of the puzzle?
not a very big piece, but he was a piece in the form of, he was self-taught. He grew up on a farm. He's from Mississippi.
Okay.
And so he was completely self-taught. So he read a lot. I mean, to the
Gotcha.
point he would read encyclopedias. So he instilled that in us. And he was only in my life for a short period of time. But he was the one who also said, like, you want to make something of yourself, go get into this computers thing. That's where the money's going to be.
See, but you're remembering this.
Yeah.
So he clearly had an impact. Maybe not long in the life, but
he absolutely had an impact from that regard. But back to your original question, what was the thing that really sparked me or gave me exposure to that there was something greater for me? Was I was on my mom's couch, and there I was, holding my phone, and I get a notification from LinkedIn, and LinkedIn says, "Go congratulate your colleague on their new job position."
I think I see where this is
On
going.
their promotion. And I go and I look at it, and it was my old lab partner when I was in computer engineering.
Yeah.
And so when we were in school, we took every class together, we took every test together, we did every lab assignment together. We graduated with the exact same grade. So me and this guy were on the exact same trajectory.
Yeah.
Similar background, similar everything. We had everything teed up for us. And now, here I am, looking at his LinkedIn page and his new job title. And he's now the CTO,
Chief Technology Officer
of a logistics company.
Wow.
And so I'm looking at, and so there I am, square in the face, looking at what my full potential is.
Yeah.
So this guy,
You're probably like, what the fuck?
So this guy, he's got this. I go to his Instagram page. He's got this huge house and this wonderful family, and they're taking extravagant vacations, and they got a boat. And I'm looking at this guy. Not only that, not only the materialistic and surface level stuff, but he served on the boards of nonprofits.
Yep.
He gave. He volunteered. I'm looking at a real world incarnation of what my full potential was,
and what you want.
And there I was, homeless on my mom's couch.
Got you.
That was the moment I recognized that I was destined for greatness.
Yeah.
I wasn't destined for a life.
You were like, but fuck this.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
Fuck
I
this.
got pissed. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, now
But
what do I have to do to get it?
they usually say people make decisions in life on pain or pleasure,
Yeah.
right? Pain or pleasure. And if you ask people, like if I went up to you and asked you, or most people, they'd say, oh no, I make it on pleasure and feel good. Bullshit.
Yeah.
95% of people make it on pain. Moment of pain, so rich to you that it's still inbred in your brain.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
remember that moment. And that was
Absolutely.
so painful for you that it like said, we got to go.
Yeah.
Like this is,
They call it the do something different moment.
yeah.
So that was a moment. It's like, okay, I need to do something different.
Wow.
And so what's something you're grateful for?
So one of the first things I do every morning when I wake up, and I do the 5 a.m. thing, is before I put my feet on the ground out of the bed, I have this routine. You have to say 3 things that you're grateful for every single day, because that will just start, right, just the feel good stuff. And that could be the same 3 things you had yesterday. It's irrelevant. So I'm always grateful for my family, friends, people around me. I'm always grateful if I'm in good health, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. But yeah, it's always, family, friends. I'm a very spiritual person. So, and it's interesting, I grew up under Christianity. Mom would drag us to Sunday school, kicking, screaming little kids, right? And we did it. And, I ended up going to a Christian university at Pepperdine, and I was always kind of pushing it away in a way, because I always felt that religions were at least formal religions were very confining. Mm-hmm. Even though I totally believe in a higher power, believe in God, believe that we are part of something far greater than ourselves, and that's kind of around us and here. But formal religions, as they're there, have always felt very confining to me. Like they weren't open enough to really maybe explain what's really going on. Even though I fully pray, believe in the power of faith and power of prayer, it's just not in a formal sense where, hey, if you don't go to church this Sunday, you're going to hell.
Right.
Or if you don't do this, you're doing that. Like, where they're confining.
Right.
Right. And so I'm like, guys, I got news for you. I know the Bible's in the books, and I've studied Old Testament, New Testament. I've done them both. Here's the good news. We all get to find out. Right. Yeah. At some point, we all cross over into the other realm, and we're going to all find out. And people have already done that. And what I believe is that we are a part of something so far beyond our comprehension as human beings that we can't even begin to fathom its complexity. Right? So we, as humans, have created religions, which we have. They're all man-made.
I believe that.
And which is totally fine, because it helps us understand things we can't understand. It helps us grab a hold of things we can't touch or feel or sense.
Right. Yeah.
And it gives us moral compass and just feeling of good. And so for that purpose, they're amazing. But at the same time, I think when we do have that moment of passing on, that we're going to get to experience something that we can't even fathom.
Yeah.
So that is where I come from. So I'm grateful for that. And then I'm grateful for family and friends. I'm grateful for the opportunities that come my way. I'm grateful for the challenges.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the hard part for a lot of people. And I preach this a lot, is be grateful for not only the tribulations, but for the trials. And here's the most powerful part, is that in the face of adversity, you can be grateful in the moment.
Totally.
And it's hard when you're in the moment and you don't like anything. You can be grateful for a lot of things in hindsight. When I went through my rough patch, now I joke around with my wife. So, me and my wife, before she was my wife, we broke up. We went through a really dark period. Yeah. When I was in kind of like my drinking and partying phase, I was not a good person to her. I was not a good partner to her. But now, I went through that pruning process. I've kind of hit my rock bottom, and then I think, I rose like a phoenix. And now here we are married. And looking back, I always say, babe, like, we had to go through that. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be the person I am now. You wouldn't be the person you are. We both grew out of that situation. We became better people, and we were better suited now. We have the most amazing marriage on earth. And I said, looking back, we could be grateful for that dark period, because it proved us to be who we are now. So looking back and reflecting, it's always easy to see, okay, now I can see how that played a role. I could be grateful for that. The hard part is when you're in the middle of it and you're not done with it. Yeah. It's still happening right now. Can you be grateful for it? Yeah. And that's the I challenge people to know that you kind of have to have faith, and you have to know that everything happens for a reason. Everything is a part of a grand design and a grand purpose. Yeah, I'm preparing you for your promise. Yeah, I don't believe in the accident. I just don't think there's accidents in life. Yeah, I think exactly what you said. Things happen for a reason. Sometimes you don't get to understand them in the moment. Right. But it's always the hindsight factor. I was watching some podcast the other day. Maybe it was Joe Rogan or somebody had on, and this person was saying, when times get rough and something happens to me, rather than me saying, fuck, he's like, good. Oh, yeah. Good. Jocko Willing. Jocko? Yeah. Good. Right? They're going to come kick your ass today? Good. Right? You just lost all your money? Good. Right? Yeah. You just had this happen to you? Good. Yeah. I was like, holy shit. This guy's got a warrior. I was like, this is wild. I loved it, though. Because here's the thing, though. The greater the test, the greater the preparation that you're going through, the greater the promise. And so the harder the thing is that you're facing right now, you know that there's something great. There must be something great on the other side. So in that moment, you can't say, you know what? I lost all my money. I just got my teeth kicked in. I'm getting beat up and battered and bruised. Good, because this is so hard. There must be a mountain of favor on the other side of this. So I can look now and say, good. Yes, I'm going through this. It's tough, but boy, I know something great is on the other side. So kind of finishing off here with this morning hero theme.
what do you say? Because I think about my morning routine and reading the book Atomic Habits and putting it with what they consider habit stacking, right? And it takes 67 days to really implement any true habit.
Yeah.
And so there was things I was doing in my morning very good. And then there were things that were hiccuping my morning.
Yep.
So what they then say is, okay, what you need to do is what they call habit stack, which is you implement the things you want to do that you're not already into things you're already doing.
Yeah.
So give you an example. I was always making sure that so before the alarm would go off at 5 and it was a 50-50 shot whether I was getting out of bed.
Yeah.
Meaning without hitting snooze.
Yeah.
So now what I have to do is I have to literally throw myself out of the bed. like you hit the floor. Like pretty much. I mean, after I say the things I'm grateful for, it's like roll it. So, but I'm always making my bed after I wake up. So it is, you wake up at 5 a.m. After I wake up at 5 a.m., I will make my bed. After I make my bed, I will do at least 10 push-ups. After I do 10 push-ups, I will go downstairs and make a cup of coffee. After I make the cup of coffee, I will sit on the couch and I will listen to my affirmations. After I listen to my affirmations, I will read for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
After I read for 10 minutes, then I will quickly check emails but not respond to them and get rid of the bad ones. After I do that, then I'll do this. And then at 6:30, when the kids wake up, I'll do this and do that. So you habit stack and you put things that you should be doing inside of things you're already doing because they're already habits.
Right.
You already have those habits. And then by doing that stacking routinely enough, the things you want to do become things you do.
They become habits.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then that is where you master the morning and master your day. Because for me, you're right. You get that morning going and you're a rock star before the kids wake up and chaos starts and texts start coming and bad emails start coming and everything goes in your mind shit. But if you can get that energy right before that happens. So finishing off on that, what do you say to people who they'll start something and stop something, start something and stop something in the morning routine side of it?
Well, you'll never, so the power of consistency, just to kind of highlight the power of consistency. There's whenever I'm doing a speech, so I'll go around and do a lot of speaking and corporate training. And I always give this example because I'll explain the morning routine and I'll always end. But this isn't just an every now and then thing.
Right.
And here's the thought exercise that I offer to people. So if you have a penny and you double the penny every day for 30 straight days.
You need to add 31. Do you know what happens at 31?
Yeah, it doubles again. It doubles again.
No, somebody did this exact same, the compound effect, right?
It's the compound.
You probably read that book, Darren Hardy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so most people, whenever I throw this out there to the audience, so I also take a poll, like, you know, just a penny, right? It's something small, it's so insignificant, minute, mundane as a penny, but you doubled it. You just did this little minute, mundane activity as doubling a penny, but you did it every day consistently. If you did it for 30 days, you have $5,368,709.
Yeah.
Most, like everyone in the audience is floored. Like, $5 million
You doubled the penny.
A penny?
Right. Well, that's because they don't, you're right, the
They don't
compound.
understand the compound effect.
Right.
But here's the powerful part of that scenario. I asked him another question. I said, what if you only did it every other day? You didn't do it every day. You come on, like $5 million. You don't need $5 million. I'm not greedy. I don't need $5 million. I could slack off a little bit. Okay. Every other day is still pretty, that's still pretty consistent, right?
Sure.
How much would you have if you doubled it every other day instead of every day? What do you think?
Ooh.
So 5 million
I
consistency.
I'm going to say it's less than the half because, I haven't done the math on it. But, yeah, it's probably not going to really do its job.
So guess a number. So
okay, $2 million.
$2 million. So all you did was slack off every other day.
Right.
$5 million for everyday consistency.
Right.
If you doubled the penny every other day, you'd have $327.
Oh, fuck. It's that bad?
Can you believe that? 300. So look.
Oh,
that's because here's the thing.
That's legit.
Here's the thing. Most people believe that life is linear, meaning I put a little work in, I put a little effort in.
No, it's a hockey stick.
I see the result. I took an action, I immediately see the result. I ate a salad, I lose 2 2 pounds. I did some push-ups. I see some muscle. I made a couple sales calls. I get a client. They think it's linear. I put some effort in and I immediately get the reward. Life isn't linear.
No.
It's exponential,
Yeah.
meaning there will be a long period of time of seeing no results,
Yeah.
where that line doesn't move at all.
Yeah.
Day after day of making the calls, of getting up early, of going to the gym, of eating right, day after day after day of not seeing a result until all of a sudden, somewhere, if you were to draw out that line of that penny doubling, somewhere around day 28 is when it finally lifted off the ground and it fucking shot up.
Yeah.
Right? Most people never, I call that the tipping point.
Yeah.
The tipping point is the point where all of the
That's right where people give up.
starts to materialize. All the favor. Next thing you know, the phone is ringing off the hook. Next thing you know, you're looking good in the mirror. Next thing you know, people are throwing opportunities your way and things are coming out of nowhere. And it seems like, where is all this coming from? It's because you hit your tipping point. Most people never make it to their tipping point because they give up.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And so
Because the world, and this is human biology, by the way, because that came up perfectly in that book, Atomic Habits, is our brains are wired for instant gratification.
totally.
And our brains are only designed to not receive that instant gratification for so long, which is why a vast majority of human beings will go and they'll start.
Yep.
It's happening. I mean, we can talk beginning of the year right now. Everybody's in their resolution, right? And you go to the gym, 4 million people are there until the 31st of this month.
Yeah.
Right. And then it dissipates, but that's because the human brain is wired to only accept not receiving gratification or winning for so long.
Absolutely.
And so it is that extra step. And two people that I've recognized over this year that are so good at isolating their attention on tasks until they are dominant at that task, and then boom. Ryan Panetta, who I spent some time with, a little bit this year personally, and then just learning from his team and watching him and why he'd hockey stick at the rate he has. He is so good at isolating his attention for a window of time and becoming so dominant at that task to where he's then boom, and then he can step out, put an operator in, and move to the next. Yeah. But he just becomes a ninja.
Yeah.
Right? And that's allowed him to do that. Tom Brady. I went to a conference with my son down in Miami and with Patrick Bet-David and a few others, a lot of people there, big hitters. And obviously Tom Brady was one of the people getting interviewed. And we were so excited because we're Patriot fans. My son's wearing his t-shirt and he's standing up and all super excited. One thing I pulled out of that, which I knew already, and everybody knows Tom Brady, he is so good at the consistent discipline, right? Discipline's one thing, but consistently disciplined is different. You can be disciplined for a day. You can be disciplined for a week. That man is ruthless in his discipline and so consistent. In people wondered, was it the money? You wanted to break all the records? You wanted all the trophies? Because Patrick's asking him this, like, what is it, Tom? He says, honestly, it was the fear every day of letting my teammates down if I didn't do it. Like if I didn't show up, if I wasn't ready to go, if I wasn't prepared, I was so in fear every day of letting my teammates down that is literally what drove me to this ruthless, competitive mindset of I'm so scared of not showing up for my teammates
that's powerful.
That it just put such a formula in him for that consistent discipline. Hence, it's Tom Brady, right? Yeah. So that was super unique to pick up from those two guys at different stages in their lives. But that's why Ryan is where he's at and where he's just getting started. But he is very, very good at saying, okay, I want to accomplish this. He can isolate his attention towards it. Perfect example. He just picked up golf less than 2 years ago. The guy is shooting. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I just golfed with him.
Wow.
And he's nasty.
Yeah, and golf is one of those.
I mean, he's got a simulator in his house now. He isolates his attention so well to become the best and become dominant at that thing And then once he's there, he can pick it up and move, but he just focuses. And he's
Wow.
so good at focusing attention for a window to become the best. And then boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I think that's a superpower, especially
super unique. And that's what I noticed between those two.
Yeah, I'd say that's a secret to success right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to finish us off with before we end this? This was incredible, like learning your story. How can people find you, number one, and then buy your book? It's coming out.
Yeah. So they can find me on Instagram is where I put out the most of my value. As much
It's the
as
Morning Hero.
Yeah, so it's the.morning hero. So every day I try to post something to put a smile on someone's face and to help them in some way. TheMorningHero.com, they can go if they want to learn about, how do they master their morning?
Yeah.
And so I have an app, and it basically helps you master your morning. You want to wake up early.
Is there accountability in that, guessing?
Yeah. So I believe the kind of what you said earlier about Tom Brady, the reason he shows up is because other people. His why is rooted in other people, not wanting to disappoint other people. So I think that one of the ways that you help people be consistent is that you tap them into a community, and then now it's just not about them, it's about other people too. So that's what the Morning Hero Tribe is. So if they go to themorninghero.com, they can actually try the tribe for free, and you join the community. Inside there, you learn all about the morning routines, how to master your morning, and then you actually get access to the tools to help you master your morning. So how to set your intentions every morning, have guided live morning routines in there. And so literally press a play button and you're guided through a whole practice of meditating, visualizing, affirming, and journaling in just 15 minutes. So that's where you master your morning, is to go join the tribe.
I love it.
And again, they can just join that for free. So again, it's just like, how do I help people get from point A to B?
Yep.
And this is how I do it.
I love it. Appreciate your time, man. This is awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Take care, everybody.